Hey everyone, it's Megan. I am back in terms of movies with a tag. Today I will be doing the chocolate film tag. I was tagged by the Lawn Gnome, a very nice gentleman, who did a book and film version of the tag, and this was originally a book tag that I did a while back. I will link the book tag down below, and I will just be doing the film portion of the tag today. And I'll be following the original book tag format. So without further ado, let's get started. The first question is dark chocolate. Name a movie with a dark tone. And for this one, I decided to go with Rebecca, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. This film came out in 1940, I want to say, and stars Joan Fontaine as Mrs. De Winter. We are never told her actual first name. She marries Mr. De Winter, played by Laurence Olivier. He is a widower who was once married to this woman named Rebecca, who everybody seems to worship. And so when the new Mrs. De Winter comes to stay at Mangerley, the estate, she feels haunted by the former mistress of the house. And it doesn't, help that her former lady's maid, played by Judith Anderson, is still rather obsessed with her former lady. The overall film is creepy. It's amazing and it's so good, and I feel for Joan Fontaine's character, but it is a very creepy story. It's usually very dark, and there is so much more than meets the eye on the surface. Mrs. De Winter, Rebecca, died in an accident, apparently, like a drowning accident. Or did she? Number 2, White Chocolate. Your favorite lighthearted or humorous film. And for this one, I had to go with Amélie, which came out in 2001 and was directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet. And it is the story of Amélie, a 23-year-old young lady living in Paris who she's very much an introvert. She's very shy. Mainly it is about how Amélie knows that she's shy and wants to do good in the world without getting recognition for it, like some of these fame seekers. And so it's based in 1997, and when she finds out about the death of Princess Diana, it sort of sparks an epiphany in her that she wants to help people, because Diana died so young, and she was known for her humanitarian efforts. So this is a rather humorous story on how Amélie decides to go about helping people. There is some magical realism elements to it. Paris is just gorgeous. There's a color scheme to the film. If you watch it, you'll notice it's so much green and red with random injections of yellow, white, and blue. And it's based on this Brazilian painter. I know I've talked about this before in a previous video. I can't remember which, but I love this film and it's great. Number 3 is Milk Chocolate, a film that you are dying to watch. So for this one, I have 2. One came out in 2014, and it is Mr. Turner, starring Timothy Spall. This is a biopic about the British artist J.M.W. Turner, and beyond that, I don't really know what it's about. It just looks so friggin' amazing. And in terms of 2015, the one I am most excited so far to see is Inside Out, the new Pixar movie coming out in June. And it, I believe, is about a little girl who has just moved to a new town, and so she's going through all these emotions, and so we see inside her head all the various main types of emotion like anger, sadness, happiness. It just looks so great. Question number 4, Chocolate with a Caramel Center. Name a film that makes you feel all warm and gooey inside when you watch it. For this one, I had to go with Ratatouille, which came out in 2007, directed by Brad Bird. This movie is just glorious. It is about an adorable rat named Remy who knows how to cook and wants to work in a fine restaurant. And if you're a rat, that is not very easy to do. With things like health code law and, other little details like that. But he finds that he has been living underneath Paris the whole time, and yeah, he stumbles upon his hero's restaurant, and via this guy Linguini decides to help him out, and through him becomes an amazing chef, and it is just wonderful. It's a film about pursuing your dreams, and I remember it being so inspiring to me when I first watched it. I watched it 3 times in theaters. Number 5 is a wafer-free Kit Kat. Name a film that surprised you lately. For this, I had to go with The Tale of the Bamboo Cutter, or Princess Kaguya. This is one of the latest releases from Studio Ghibli. It came out last June, I think, and it was up for Best Animated Feature at the Oscars this past year, and so I watched it in anticipation for that, and it is amazing. It really wasn't what I expected at all. I don't know what I was expecting, but the trailer made me think it was about one thing, and then I watched the movie and it turned out to be about another. It was so deep and just incredibly moving. It featured a sequence of what I would argue to be like one of my most favorite pieces of animation that I've ever seen. And if you've watched the movie, you will know immediately what I'm talking about. I'm still waiting to get this one on DVD, but I can't wait to because it is just such an amazing piece of artistic work. Number 6 is Snickers, a film that you are going nuts about. For this one, I had to go with Song of the Sea. This is an Irish animated film directed by Tom Moore, who also did The Book of Kells. It tells the story of Ben and how they lost their mother with the birth of his little sister Saoirse. And there are a lot of seals involved, and there's a little bit of a quest because Saoirse is a Selkie and she has to do her Song of the Sea to release these fairies. It's a less complicated story than you think, and what made it so amazing was its artistic merit. This film was absolutely crazy in its visuals. Not visual effects, but I mean the animation itself was so beautiful. The backgrounds were incredible because there was movement going on in the backgrounds that isn't normally even thought about. It's just visually so incredibly pretty, and the story is wonderful. I loved it. I cried. I think you should watch it. Number 7 is Hot Chocolate with Marshmallows. What movie do you go to for comfort? For this, I would have to go with my sick movie, which is Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Y'all know what this movie is about. There's no way you don't. It was Disney's first full-length animated feature, which came out in 1937 and tells the story of Snow White, a young girl who is the most beautiful in all the land, and this is to the extreme jealousy of her stepmother. And so, because she cannot do the job herself, she hires her huntsman to do away with Snow White, and at the last minute he can't because she's too pretty. And so she runs away into the forest and comes upon a dwarf's cottage. They take her in, she does their housework. The queen is still jealous because she is still alive, and so she disguises herself as an old hag and goes to find Snow White herself to kill her. I won't tell you any more for fear of spoiling you if you have not heard of this entire story, what happens, which if you haven't, I'd say the only benefit to that is being able to watch this movie for the first time. Number 8 is A Box of Chocolates. Pick a film or franchise that has a little something for everyone. For this one is no surprise. I picked it back when I did the chocolate book tag, and that is Harry Potter. You know the story of the boy wizard who survived He Who Must Not Be Named. It's epic. I don't really need to explain it. So many people have seen it. So many people have read the books. It is spanned across multiple generations now. Chocolate or otherwise, this just takes the cake. Number 9, finally, Bittersweet, a film that you were anticipating but were disappointed by. For this, it was, unfortunately, the Hobbit trilogy. I really enjoyed the first one, and I had watched the second one, and then I finally read the book before seeing the third one. And the third one was just dismal. I noticed that Jackson did this during the Lord of the Rings movies. When somebody dies, it's the most epic thing ever. The shot of between the characters' faces, like when Tauriel watches Keely die and Keely's looking at Tauriel, it lasted for, I swear to God, 5 minutes. It was downright uncomfortable. When they die, they just get this epic... It's not real life, and I know this is a fantasy series, but it was just taking it to the extreme, I found, in terms of how dramatic it was. You may disagree with me, that's just my opinion, but it just really bothered me when I watched it. So that's it for the chocolate film tag. I tag anybody who wants to do it. I thank Lawn Gnome again for inviting me to do this, and I shall see you guys soon with another video. I hope you have a great week. Bye, everyone.